So my original plan for this video and this story portion and this like insight to me and the beginning and meaning behind Raw and the Nothing is Constant But Change shirt, it all went out the window. So, but what it made me realize is that this is my best way of communicating, is just being authentic and in the moment, and when I feel like I am ready to do something or want to do something, I should just do it. Because whenever I try to force things or make things happen when it's just not ready to happen, it doesn't work out that often. So, yeah, just go over it. Just go over it now. Mostly because it's just been a long work day and I was listening to a couple different podcasts, and something that really got to me was, when someone goes through trauma and spends like a decent portion of their life afterwards trying to figure themselves out a little bit more, and how that becomes like a whole learning process and so on and so forth. And that just resonated and stuck with me because that's kind of where I'm coming from, and that's the main point of my story that I want to share and help everyone understand why I created the brand and why Nothing is Constant But Change is my mantra. It's something I live by. It's something I remember to kind of push myself forward and accept and be grateful for whatever circumstance I'm in. So the short version, because I realized that in the original video I did that did not work out, it was insanely long and just not necessary. So I'm not going to be giving a lot of details, but I just want you guys to understand kind of who I am and where I'm coming from. So when I was younger, my mom and my stepdad were pretty strict, and not in a negative way at all. Just I grew up under a rock a little bit with some things, and if my mom ever watches this, she'll agree. But I personally feel like sexually repressed for most of my life. I was just told that's like, it was just made into this huge thing growing up, when in reality the way I feel about it now is it shouldn't be. But anyway, so I was very scared of and like nervous about sexual interaction outside of marriage and like that, so that played a really heavy part of my life growing up. And come my senior year of college, I had an internship with a really incredible company. I was super excited, and I was getting into the commercial industry for photography a little bit more and just learning a lot. And my boyfriend at the time was just so supportive and trusting of me. So when I started becoming friends with someone who worked at this place, someone who was almost a decade older than me, and who my naive little self thought, oh, like, this guy wants to, take me out for drinks after work and like hang out with me and like help me and network me and all this stuff. And I didn't think anything of it. I just thought that the world is awesome and people are just really good like that. And when that started happening, my now ex was like, listen, I support you, and if that's going to help you in the long run for your career, like, that sounds like a good connection to have. I'm happy for you. And I really didn't have any trust issues at that point. I was a very trusting person. So one thing led to another, and the nights out after the internship turned into like a lot of texting and a lot of talking, and me feeling like, oh, this is someone who I can trust, not only with my career and my work, but with myself personally. And the unfortunate side to that is that I was very trusting and I was very naive, and that led to a lot of abuse. It led to sexual abuse and emotional abuse, just mental abuse, just a lot of abuse from someone who I genuinely felt like had my best interest in mind, but in reality was just not the case. So that was a lot to deal with. That went on for about a year. It was 2014, and my now ex, we had broken up. It was almost 100% me, just because I didn't tell him what had been happening. I didn't tell him that someone was taking advantage of me sexually, and was causing a lot of pain in my life. So I didn't really know how to face it, and I didn't really want to believe it was happening, and it's a lot of difficult emotions to deal with when you're in your early 20s and you have this grandiose idea that, oh, I'm gonna be with this one person for the rest of my life, and like there was only one person that I had been sexually active with at that time. So for most people this won't make much sense, but like the point for me to get across is that like it was something that was so ingrained in me and so serious, and it was a huge part of my life, that like it was just not something that's like for fun or whatever. Like, so when someone took that away from me, just impacted me in a very negative way. Whoop, there we go. I'm also trying not to cry because I fucking was sobbing and losing my shit in the first video, so I'm trying to tone it down a bit. So throughout that whole process, and my ex and I tried to get back together, and it just wasn't working out, and I was just really fucked up. It's kind of what it comes down to. Just mentally not okay. Physically not okay. I mean, I already had dealt with some issues with like insomnia and depression and anxiety, and that just heightened tremendously. For over a year, it was just this constant stress and anxiety and fear, and the blackmail started, and just a lot of abuse, and not being able to leave this guy's apartment, and not being able to stand up for myself, and feeling being threatened on a regular basis in a lot of different ways. And as a lot of people who have been through abusive relationships and sexual trauma and emotional trauma will know, is that you don't always see what the fuck's going on. You don't get it. So eventually it got to the point where I was done. I filed for a restraining order. One thing led to another, and I pretty much lost my ability to be working in the city because of the whole situation, and the blackmail and the whatever. And the reason I'm trying to stay above my feels right now is just trying to get a point across, because it's very easy for me to go back down into that rabbit hole. It's something that has happened in my life that I have learned about and I have worked my way through, but it's a part of me, and it's a part of my life story, and it's easy for me to get wrapped up in it sometimes. So the point of all this is, from 2014 until now, there was just so much drastic change on a regular basis, and month after month and year after year, and I have never learned so much about myself. And at the end of the day, I'm thankful for everything that's happened to me, because I wouldn't be who I am if it weren't for all those things. So, my dad always said to me, nothing is constant but change. That's just something that he said multiple times, and it just stuck with me. And I feel like, a lot of people might have that from either different family members or whatever, friends. And that helped me a lot. I was going to therapy for a long time. I had to go back to therapy after feeling like everything was pretty solid, and then I had to go back again, and just had a lot of issues. Still have a lot of issues, but we're working through those day by day. And the reminder that nothing is constant but change, the reminder that the world's going to keep turning, the reminder that change is going to happen whether you like it or not, made me feel so much more confident in making the decision that, like, I'm I make the most of change. It's my choice. I can choose to let someone who aggressively assaulted me and harmed me and did all these things to me, I could let that ruin my life. And I really kind of did. There was a very long period of time where I wasn't working. I had spent all of my savings. I was very broken and depressed and not okay. And eventually you learn that, like, stuff's gonna keep changing. And it's your choice to make the most of that at the end of the day. That's it. It's your choice. Nothing is constant but change. It's your choice to accept that change as an empowering thing and something you learn from, or you let it fucking destroy you, and that's up to you. You know? You have to take responsibility for that. So, the big reason that I started Raw is just because it was something that I was living by. I was becoming more comfortable than ever before being authentically 100% myself. Like, I grew up holding a lot of myself back. And I did that for a very, very, very long time because I never thought that I was enough. And I didn't think that I was really good enough or pretty enough or interesting enough. And just had the scarcity mentality. And it took me so long to realize how unhealthy that was and how much that was holding me back. And when I started deciding on a regular basis, I am going to live my truth, because I fucking couldn't stand lying anymore. I spent so much time lying to people I loved, while I was getting hurt because I couldn't handle what was going on, so how could someone else deal with it? So I was lying to people on a regular basis, left and right. It was not myself, ever. And I grew to hate that feeling so much that I learned that I had to use it as a positive. And instead of saying how much I hated lying, I decided I'm going to revel in being honest and being true and being authentic and being real and being strong. And that's just what I live by. And that's what's changed my life. Just, those words and those ideas can be so powerful if you give them that power. So for me, it was like, just be raw, just be fucking real, like, that's it. That's literally it. And my life has made this drastic, productive and positive change. And it's just because of that mentality. And I, like, originally being in the fashion industry and then going into fitness and, learning about that and becoming competitive and getting into training and learning about a new industry and switching my photo career. And, like, literally one day after just going through a lot of personal, like, emotional stuff, was like, you know what, like, there's something here. Like, the word raw has always stood out to me. Maybe it's because I'm a photographer and I deal with raw photos all the time. I would always see my raw file folders and look at that and be like, that's, like, raw. I love that. I love that word. And I was like, that should just be a fucking clothing line, because I do. I fucking love clothes. I don't love fashion. Don't get me wrong. Don't love fashion. But I like clothes, and I like being able to express myself, and I like options and all that jazz. And it was the first thing that I didn't fight. I flat out, like, thought about it, and I talked to my best friend Sam. I was like, I have this, like, idea, and it's the first thing that I didn't fight. I just fucking did it. And it felt so good. And it's been a huge learning curve, and it's only been a year, and I'm already so excited about it. And it feels like everything that, it's so different from what I'm doing, but in reality, it's not. So yeah, it was entirely, like, just something that came out of me, and I was like, I want to make this, and I want to build this, I want to create this. So is it selfish? Yes, because it's my thing that I wanted to make. But the purpose, so sorry. The purpose, I'm not even going to edit that out. Screw it. I'm I'm not even editing this video. I'm just gonna fucking put it up. That's what Raw is all about. Just be real. I could make this more fun and entertaining and more sob story-ish and all that other shit, but like, I'll do that for other people and, you know, to make it more interesting and more palatable and whatever. But this is me. I want you guys to know that this is me, and this is kind of like a very little bit of my story and my reasoning. And I hope you take away from that. So the other main point of the message of Raw, Honest, Real, Strong, is just that. It's a message that I find simple enough that other people can understand it and take that for themselves and better themselves and, you know, build a stronger mindset. And no matter what you're going through, just, you know that there are so many other people out there who are going through almost the same thing. I'm freaking telling you, the amount of girls that I've talked to that have dealt with this very similar stuff as me, unbelievable, like fucking unreal. It's very sad. And at the end of the day, I don't think that we're capable of completely halting and putting a stop to all the evil shit that goes on in the world. But I think that the best tool that you could possibly have is a tool that teaches you how to help yourself and how to get to a better place. And learning how to have that mindset shift and that, you know, bettering of your lifestyle through that mindset shift can be life-changing, life-saving. It's very important. You know, I just want to create a space where people know that they can share that together and talk about those things and like get on the wagon of mental health and stability, because that should be a priority. Like, everything starts here. Everything starts here. It's just so important, guys. It's so important. And for the people who feel afraid of getting help because they feel like it's going to affect their jobs or their relationships or whatever, like, that's bullshit. Because if it impacts anything else in your life in what you think is in a negative way, turn that around into a positive. If you think that you're not going to get hired for a specific job because you go get like a psych test or something, or you go to a therapist, think of some other options, because there's fucking billions of them. So I don't take care of yourself first and foremost, always. It's what I live by, and that's how I thrive. And I want that for everybody across the board. I want that for literally everybody. Like, you know, I don't think that's gonna fucking solve all the problems of the world, but it's a tool. And you know, if I can do that through some clothes and hopefully some other fun stuff, would love to start working with some charities and everything, but that's definitely like a long-term goal. So I just hope that this helps you guys understand me a little bit more. I tried to keep it short. It's still almost 20 minutes long. So if you stuck through this whole time, I really appreciate you. And I appreciate the fact that you listened. And that's what this is all about. So, you know, just keep spreading that. Keep telling people about it. Like, make that what you live by. You know, this isn't just a t-shirt company. Like, this is something bigger. And I want and hope that all of you guys want that as well, and will help me in like creating that goal. So yeah, I'm not good at endings. So I just, from like the deep down depths of my heart and soul, thank you so much. And I'm really looking forward to building something that can help a lot of people and do a lot of good. So that's my story. That's my video that I meant to make weeks ago when I released the Raglands, but here it is now.